On our torso model, we can see in the throat area we have our thyroid gland here on the trachea. As we move down, we can see the main branches, those primary bronchi of the trachea that would go into the lungs, and we can see this mint green esophagus coming down from behind the trachea, which is going to run into this stomach here, where we have the liver over top of that. If we remove the liver, looking at the underside of the liver, we can see our green gallbladder. And without our liver, we can see a much better view of the stomach. Here we have the esophagus coming into the stomach. We can see the esophageal sphincter in there. This is the fundus, or top part of the stomach. We have the lesser curvature on the inside with the much larger, greater curvature on the outside. This is the cardia area, the body of the stomach, and the pyloric area going into the pylorus, or the pyloric valve, which will control the flow from the stomach into the small intestine. On the inside of the stomach, we can see it is folded. Those folds are called rugae. As your stomach moves, that movement, that churning, will help to break up the food particles in the stomach. Removing the stomach, we can now focus on the intestines. Here we can see the first part of the small intestine called the duodenum. We can also see the pancreas with that pancreatic duct. And we can also see the large intestines here. And on one half, you'll notice this yellow fat on the surface. This would actually be all over the whole thing, but they have it removed on half so you can see the small and the large intestine. This is called the greater omentum. That is the fat that protects your internal organs. The small intestine is much longer, but it has a more narrow opening. The large intestine is shorter, but it is wider. The small intestines are divided into the duodenum, which is the very short first part. It's only about 10 to 12 inches. Then you have the jejunum, which is going to finish up about the first 10 feet of the intestines. And then you'd have the ileum, the last half of the small intestines that are going to go into the large. As we remove the small intestine here, we can see the last part of the small intestine, the very last part of the ileum, going into the large intestine. You will also see the green tail here, which is the appendix. Where the ileum comes into the large intestine, we see this little pouch here. This is called the cecum. Then it's going to travel upwards in the ascending colon, which will then travel across the body as the transverse colon, and then down as the descending colon into this very curvy area here called the sigmoid colon, which will eventually work its way out through the rectum and the anus.